So let's look at the difference between a population and a sample. So the total group of objects or people involved is referred to as the population. In other words, everybody that you want to look at. The group that you actually get to look at, or the subset of the population, is called the sample. So if you think about it, here's your population, and then the little piece that you actually get to look at, that is your sample. It's just a little group that you actually get to look at. Now, a simple random sample is a sample such that any subset of the population has the exact same chance of being the sample. So in other words, everybody has the same chance. A simple random sample is one like putting names in a hat. Everyone has the same chance of getting drawn out. This is also like a random number generator. Everybody has the same chance. There are other types of samples, but we really try to do our best with these simple random samples. One of the biggest issues that we tend to have is we tend to try to abuse statistics. And what I mean by abuse statistics is people tend to deliberately misuse statistics in order to mislead the public. And the reason why they do that is so that they can draw you in. Abusive statistics is very much seen in advertising. And I'm gonna unfortunately say in politics. Those are the two most common places. And when I say in politics, what I'm meaning is they tend to have very pointed samples. Their samples are not as random as we would like for them to be. Now, let's look at if we have, suppose that 1 million people nationwide were sent a survey, but only 50 people responded. So that means that only 0.005% responded. So way less than 1% of the population even responded to the survey. So that right there leads to a big mistrust in whatever our results are. And then let's say that of those 50, 49 agree and 1 disagree. Okay, well, there again, if we say that 98% agree with whatever we're talking about, that's true of those that responded, but we also have to think about the fact that 999,950 people did not even respond. So there's some things that wouldn't really add up with this whole thing. And so we have to be careful when we look at the statistics. We need to make sure that the information is coming from a good source. So there are some questions that we need to look at. So to certify that the statistics are not being misused, there's information that we should have to look at to be reported. Make sure that you know the questions being asked. So make sure you know the questions that are being asked, because sometimes they try to just eliminate, what question was actually asked. Make sure you know the number of people surveyed. In other words, how many surveys went out? Like in the previous one, 1 million surveys went out. Make sure you're allowed to know the number of people who responded. In other words, that way you can know, was it a good response or not? In other words, was there a high percentage of respondents? You also want to know how the people who participated in the survey were selected. Were they randomly selected? Were they all part of a group? In other words, were they all part of one company? Were they part of an affiliation with something? Make sure that you know how they got to be selected. Then you also want to know, like if you're testing a product, make sure that they give you the number and the types of products tested. So let's say that you're testing pain relievers. Make sure you know, are they testing the NSAIDs or the non-NSAIDs? Are they testing things that are similar or not even alike type of thing? And then make sure you know how the answers were interpreted. And the thing is you don't have to be able to understand these things. The biggest thing is make sure that these things are available to you. If any of these things are not reported or available, that's when you kind of know something's probably not on the up and up. Okay? If they don't tell you how many people were surveyed, or they don't tell you the number of people that were responded, or how the people were selected, that type of thing, something's probably not on the exact up and up. And so you want to kind of look at things of that nature. Make sure that you can at least find this information. Otherwise, you kind of know that they're hiding something and trying to misuse the statistics.